We are good.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am Courtney, and this is Heather, and we are here to talk about your guys' questions. And this is kind of branching off of our new series called Trainer Talk, where me as a moderator, I work in marketing. I interview kind of our trainers about posing questions that we might have and things we normally pick up in the field. And today is a really great use of time for you guys to have direct contact with us. So if you have any lingering questions in your home where, it could be minor, you don't necessarily want to call and have a full e-manners visit, but it could be annoying, just, feel free to ask us questions and we can get that done for you.
It's those kind of questions that when you find out somebody's a dog trainer, you're like, oh, I have this one thing that I need to know about. Whenever I go to get my hair cut, which God needs to be done sometime soon, it's, oh, by the way, I just have this one thing that I need to know about. And it's usually about, jumping or excess barking, or, I got this new puppy and he's not getting along with my older dog or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think that, especially in quarantine, we've had a lot of interesting times where we're like kind of heightened in a sense of looking at our dogs and looking at our dogs' behaviors. And I know I have for sure been playing with my dogs a lot more than I used to because I was busy working or I was busy being out and doing errands. So now it's like this really amazing time to bond, but it's also kind of difficult because you're like, oh, how do I handle that? And how do I handle transition with the dog?
There's a hyper focus on everybody's behavior right now, and sometimes it's on your own or your kids, and sometimes it's on your dogs, and you're like, wow, I never realized he did that. Did he always do that, or is that something that's new since we've just had this time home together? And how am I going to handle that when I'm going back to work or going back to school or whatever the case may be? I had a client just the other day tell me, my neighbor knocked on my door the other day and she was really sweet, but she said that my dog howls all day when I'm at work. I was like, oh my goodness. And she said she was so nice about it, but I felt so bad. She said, I don't think he ever did that before, but he had gotten so used to being at home with her for so often. And then she just recently went back to work 7 or 10 days ago. And she said, yeah, that's happening all the time now. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really great time to pick up on things that we never even, knew exist, like you just mentioned. I mean, I remember even when I owned a horse growing up, like people would tell me like, your horse does this. And I'd be like, what? And it was like so bizarre. And now we're like in this environment where we get to see our dog's patterns. We get to see our dog's behaviors. And I remember like, even with my lab, who we think is perfectly trained, we find that she will jump up on the patio furniture after we finish eating dinner or something like that. So it's like,
just cleaning up for you. That's all. It's fine.
But it's like, oh my gosh, we were so shocked that our dog that was seemingly perfect was jumping up on it. We're like, did she do that inside?
Mm-hmm. So
it's interesting, and it's a fun, time to learn and bond. And I mean, I've been going for a lot of fun walks. Oh, we have our first question. Hi, so it's Diana, and she is asking, her dog is destroying her bed a lot. How can we keep her from doing that?
The dog's bed. Okay, gotcha. Wow. That's not unusual. As a matter of fact, a lot of times, it's funny. You can go to a store. One of my favorite ones is Home Goods, and they have like a whole section of amazing dog stuff and dog beds, and the dog beds are so plush you want to sleep on them yourself. They're like $69 and they're so soft and fuzzy. But the thing is that dogs don't necessarily appreciate that, and that's one area where we kind of put our own desires and spin on what we think our dogs might want. Some dogs love to snuggle like that. For some dogs, that's too hot. It's just too much. If you put it in a crate, they may find that they're just trying to get it out of the way. So they're constantly like ripping at it. They may find that they're just, a little bored. And so they start with one little thread and find out that feels good on my teeth. So let me just pull the rest of those threads. And that becomes fun because it's a self-rewarding type game. So if you're finding that your dog is tearing up their own bed, it's just they're not into beds. They would rather a cool tile floor, especially as we get into the summer heat. It's very important to realize they don't want to sleep on something, just like you want to kick the covers off too.
And I think it's, it's like how some people prefer to have a soft bed or a hard bed,
Hmm.
it's just, and doesn't mean anything negative or different. It's just the type of
Correct.
dog. And I think it's really hard as pet parents because it's like we see that amazing plush bed that we're like, oh,
Yeah.
I would love that. I feel
Yeah.
like I want to give that to my pet, but it's like, no, our pets are all different and we all
Yeah.
have different tastes and we all have different things we have comfort levels. And if you're um overcrowding like their crate or their space, it's like, why would I want to sit in, I know how it feels to be like stuffed under too many pillows. It's like you don't necessarily want that.
Correct. Yeah. And that's what it is. We tend to think about what we want, we might want that's cuddly or snuggly, and it just gets to be too much, or it's in the way, or if they're not able to stretch out properly or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah. Diana, I'd hate to say it, but I think your dog wants you to return that bed and get your money back. At least the pieces of it.
Uh-huh. We have a question from Michelle, and she says, "Hi, ladies. I have a question. I'm wondering now that my dog isn't a puppy anymore, should I still leave the crate out?"
Oh, I love that question. That is a great question. Yes. So the short answer is yes. Here's a couple of reasons why. Um, Crates are like your dog's own bedroom. So it's super important that your dog has a place that he feels comfortable and confident to go when life gets a little overwhelming. And that can happen for a dog as easily as it can happen for a person. So having their crate out, something that they got used to in puppyhood, or if you get another dog and your first dog didn't have a crate, maybe they would like to have a crate of their own as well. Something to retire to when the kids get too crazy, it gets too hot out, the household gets too nuts, or they just feel like, you know what? I need to decompress a little bit. That's very important for them to have a space of their own. So yes, as long as it's appropriately sized. If you still have a crate that fits your puppy and it's your dog is outgrowing it, it would be time to upgrade a little bit. But yeah, beyond it, crate is not just for potty training. It's really a whole life tool that your dog will appreciate having. And when your dog gets into the geriatric stages too, that's a good time to have a crate as well, because they do want to remove themselves from the hustle and bustle of life and have a little time to themselves.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, my mom, I remember her, she always equated having a crate for a dog is like their own bedroom. And we all want our
Yep.
own space, and there shouldn't be any um like weird stereotyping with it that it's only for puppies, because I know that
Correct.
a lot of my dogs, my friends' dogs, have really enjoyed using a crate, and they even go to that place because once again we forget as pet parents that dogs also need downtime, and it's a really positive way of giving them their own space and giving them their own bedroom where they can chill out after a long day.
Yep. Very true. Absolutely. Absolutely. As long as it's, like I said, appropriately sized. And sometimes you get into a situation where you just can't have the crate at the moment because of timing or space, or you've moved somewhere. But if you can find something that your dog can have, and don't give away your crate, don't throw it away, don't, if you do put it in the garage, you might need it again, because you
Mhm.
never know when you're going to get that second dog. It
I know.
happens to a lot of people when they least expect it. I think it's happened to thousands of people in the last
Yeah.
2 months, as a matter of fact, that weren't
Yeah.
necessarily expecting to add to their family. So,
Hmm.
keep that crate handy, because you never know when you might need it.
Hmm. We have another question from Carrie.
Oh,
She
good.
goes, my nieces visit a lot. How can I get the dog not to chase them while they're playing in the yard?
Okay. It's not a difficult question, but it's going to kind of depend on the ages of the children, because chase the children is a better game than children chase the dog, because chase me is a game that dogs love to play, and it's not really an appropriate game because they can grab something inappropriate and run away with it, and then they're having so much fun and you're trying to get it back. So sometimes you want to flip the script and have the dog chase the children in a fun way. But when it becomes too much, if the dog is nipping at their heels, if they have any kind of collie in them, or if the dog is hurting them, or if the dog is jumping on them, as he's running from behind, that can become dangerous or painful to the kids. So having them be able to kind of turn it on and off, and for the dog to understand, I still need to respect this person's personal space.
Yeah.
So I can chase them, but I can't encroach upon, within 2 feet of the backs of their heels. I can't jump on them while I'm running. I can't nip at them while I'm running. And one of the fun ways that we do that with kids is to have them, put their hand out in a big stop sign very suddenly. And we have them, practice off and, they kind of think, a lot of the boys think of it as like karate moves, where they're moving their hands back and forth, and having the dogs understand, okay, when it's over, when they say it's done, it's done. So chasing the kids isn't bad until it becomes an issue. And if the kids are old enough to turn around and confront the dog and tell him off, then that's a great exercise to practice. If they're not, then it's really a good idea to keep that dog, contained somewhere else as the kids run around until they're old enough to really stand up for themselves.
Yeah, and so she just responded and she just said they're all 5 and under.
Okay, that's a tough one because they're little. Now, it is, what's great about training with children is that, especially at the age of 5 and 6, when they're in kindergarten and first grade, they love rules. They love the fact that, well, okay, they may not seem like they like rules to the parents, but they appreciate the idea that other people have rules, and they love the fact that their dog has rules, because they're suddenly, dealing in school with this structure and these rules. So they like to implement rules for other people. And so if you can have a child who's about 5 turn around and face a dog and have their hand out straight like this and tell them off, that's a really empowering thing. Another thing would be, and this is something that we work on in e-manners and on-site manners, is wait at crates and doorways. That enables children to really feel empowered to control the dog's use of space.
Yes. Yeah, I remember, even like, I feel like this is such a common thing that we don't really take into account, because I remember when I first got my puppy, like, well, my dog is now older, but my brother was a lot younger, and she was always chasing him. And he was so little, and she was so little, and he was so young, and it was kind of cute, but he was terrified. Unfortunately, the poor kid was terrified because the dog kept on jumping. And it's like, when these kids, especially when kids are not used to dogs, and you're like reintroducing this idea of a dog. And I know a lot of people are afraid of dogs if they're not growing up around them. So it could be kind of terrifying when you have a dog chasing, and it seems like the dog thinks, oh, this is a fun game, but it's not. It's like, there needs to be boundaries. And like, I remember in a video we shot before, you said dogs don't really have this idea of boundaries like humans do.
Yeah, people who just meet on the street, perfect strangers, understand the need for this personal bubble of space. Is usually about 2 or 3 feet. Right now it's 6, but it's usually around 2 or 3 feet. And until you become familial, it doesn't get much closer than that. And dogs, even strange dogs, will walk up right next to each other and kind of do this side to side, head to tail, and they rub up against the sides of each other. And so that's kind of a foreign concept to them. So being able to have your personal bubble and have your dog understand and respect that is a super great step in the right direction, especially for children.
Yes. I mean, I totally agree. And I think that making that transition and keeping it, especially now we're going back into a more thing, the regulations are opening up and people are now going back into this social life, that it's kind of difficult. We have a new question from Renee, and she says, my dog smiles with his teeth. Sometimes it looks scary. Is he mad at me, or what does that mean? Actually, my grandparents' dog does this all the time.
Really? Okay, so that's so cool. I love
big
that.
Smiler, and it's really cute, but if you don't know, it could be kind of terrifying.
Absolutely, yes, because there's teeth involved. And I used to have a border collie that did the same thing, and he was an all black dog, and he was kind of on the big side, and he would smile upon greeting all the time, and it looked kind of ferocious. Now that, I mean, without seeing the dog, I'm assuming by her description of it, it's what I'm thinking it is. If it, if all of the other body language from the dog is loose and soft and he's wiggly and he's excited, then that's what's called a submissive grin. And a submissive grin is called a submissive grin because the dog is trying to appease whoever is approaching him when he's engaging in a submissive grin. So it's usually the mouth is closed,
Yeah.
but the front teeth are showing and the lips are curled so that the front teeth can show. And they're sort of like this, and they're so happy and excited. And whenever people see teeth on a dog, they assume, uh-oh, this is dangerous. But really, you have to take the whole dog into consideration, and you're going to see wiggliness and wagginess and softness. And there's no, aggression with teeth is a large. I'm trying to put there we go, hand in front of
I think a more open
it's
jaw.
a large open mouth with teeth and everything bared, whereas this is an appeasement. And the attempt is to indicate just a behavior of, I'm so excited to meet you. I have no aggression in me. Come on over and see me. And they can do that to people and dogs. They do that. One thing, when we have clients who have a dog who engages in submissive grins, because not all dogs do it. When we do have it, we like to make a trick out of it, because it should be something that you can show somebody that your dog will do on command for fun, so that you can prove to them, look, this is not aggression at all. Look, I can say cheese, and he smiles on command. And usually a dog who engages in that, they'll do it a little bit more often because it gets them so much attention, and dogs work for whatever works to get them attention.
That's totally true.
That's cute. I would love to see a picture of that, Renee. That's cute.
I remember my grandparents' dog who does it, and we're always just like, Justine.
Oh, yes.
How are you? And she's just like smiling.
Hey, hi.
And she's like wiggling everywhere.
Yep. Yes.
And I think that's the clear distinction is their tail wagging? What does their body language look like besides it? And I feel like it's my grandparents always get the question like, should I be worried? And it's like, no, she's just smiling. And it's such a funny little thing that dogs do to show emotion. But it can be kind of, wary for it. And it's like new for people.
You're right. You really do need to look at the whole dog and make sure that the tail wag isn't up and stiff. It's very soft and kind of like wavy. And
yeah. We have a new question from Kristen.
Oh, awesome.
And she says, why does my dog zoom around the house and outside like she's completely crazy?
I don't know, Kristen, why? What are you doing? No, actually, that's perfectly normal. I'm assuming this is a younger dog. Usually that happens with dogs that are under 2, maybe 3 years old, usually like adolescents and teenagers, but it can last throughout the dog's life. We usually call it the puppy zooms, but again, it can be 18 months, 2 years, even 2.5 years that you get that. It's usually, the witching hour is usually somewhere around 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. just when you're settling down after dinner. All of a sudden your dog turns into a wild man, and he's bouncing off the furniture in a big circle, just racing around the room, chasing his tail or chasing the cat or just chasing nothing, just for the heck of it. Puppy zooms are so normal, and it's just a way to get out that energy from the day and just kind of like, oh, got to get it all out. So we always recommend that people allow their dog to go outside. If they're on an invisible fence, then all the better, because then they're outside and they're protected. Zoom it out, really get that energy out, because otherwise they're going to have a very restless sleep, similar to if you didn't get any physical exercise during the day. You kind of get that restless leg, or you toss and turn until you get comfortable.
Stretch it out.
Yeah, dogs need to stretch it out and zoom it out as well. They're exciting. If it happens at an inopportune time, like company is over, I mean, you can absolutely crate them for a little while, then settle them down. But just know that the zoomies are a necessary expulsion of that excess energy, and that your dog's not crazy, and it will eventually go away, but it's cute while it lasts. So enjoy it.
Yeah, it is cute. I miss my dogs doing that. It makes me like sad. I miss now they're older.
Don't worry, Court. I'm sure you'll get a puppy again soon. I can't see you being without a dog.
I really want one, but I just shouldn't. But I really
hint.
I know. I've been looking at basset hounds. Like,
Oh, really? Wow.
Religiously. I don't know what my little, because at first it was bull terriers, and like I'm
Uh-huh.
still obsessed with bull terriers. I just think they're the sweetest dogs, but like Basset Hounds, I think like they're so funny. They're just like the funniest looking dog. They have the weirdest
The
personality.
silkiest ears.
I
The
know. And they're like
silkiest ears.
just the ears and their puppies are so cute. And I was trying to figure out if I could foster one during quarantine because I was like, I found a shelter that did it. But it wouldn't be right for my dogs. Just waiting.
Gotcha.
They need their time to like live out their best years.
Sure.
They like the attention, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, they definitely, sibling rivalry is a real thing.
Yes, it
Takes a
really
little
is.
while. Yeah, takes a little while
Really
for new
is.
dogs to settle in. That's actually a good point. That's something that we should just touch on quickly. The time of kind of insertion into a new family, that acclimation period can be weeks and up to a month sometimes. So if I hate to see somebody adopt a dog that they think is going to be great, and then they get it home, and 2 days later they're like, wow, they're still fighting. Yeah, they're gonna. It's, I mean, and unless we're pulling out clumps of hair and drawing blood, let's just let them kind of get to know each other and figure out their place in the hierarchy of the family, because that acclimation period can be up to, like I said, up to a month, and they really need to get comfortable and confident. So I hope that all these puppies that we've seen adopted over the last couple of months are going to maintain their forever homes.
I
Yeah.
know. It's like it was so exciting to see the shelters were cleared out. I was like, oh my
Crazy,
gosh, it was
crazy. Yeah.
so crazy. And it was like a
Mhm.
dream come true, but it was also like a nail biter because it's like
Yes.
how many people are going to be keeping their dogs and how many
Yeah.
people, because there's issues that you don't even realize that could arise. And, there could be an unknown allergy. There could be, some dogs are not compatible with one another or maybe the lifestyle or the home isn't completely fit, and it's like evaluating. And I think it's difficult to evaluate, especially for new people who are new to having dogs and new to being a pet parent. um it's difficult to say, okay, is this the right environment, and am I in the right circumstance to be getting a new member of my family?
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Yep. That's one of the most rewarding things about what we do. And I know this because you've kind of, you've been in it for so long, but it is just to be able to see a dog go from a foster or a shelter situation to a primary home, and then have the client be so invested in their new family member that they're willing to work through the issues, and they reach out for help, because we can assist with that sort of thing. There's so much that can be done, whether it's from a containment standpoint or an obedience standpoint, or that extra help you need with someone to come during the day to check on your pet if you're at work. There's so much that we can do, and I love to make sure that nobody gets returned to a shelter situation or rehomed when it ends up breaking a heart, or more than one. So that's really rewarding. I love what we do. It's awesome.
I know, it's amazing.
Great.
On that note, I think that is all the questions we have and the time we have for today.
Oh, okay.
So it was great talking to you. It was great
Thank you.
having you guys watch. I hope you guys got something out of all of this. I know I did. And stay tuned. We have a lot of these kind of style conversations that are going to be coming up pre-recorded, called Trainer Talk. And they are going to be talking about things in the home, things outside, grooming, because we offer grooming e-manners, and you can go in and you can find your area that you need help, and we are going to, provide this huge database of knowledge.
Sounds good. Thanks for your time, Court.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Glad you tuned in.
Bye.